Big money fight. Ronda Rousey, is she coming back to the UFC? And Conor McGregor's Ultimate Fighter team loses again.
Let's go!
Yeah, and I'm running the show here tonight. We got some production things working on behind the scenes, and I'm doing extra stuff, and hopefully it's seamless and no one even notices. Fred's chomping away on a freezy. He's in Fred form. And we don't have AJ, which, you know.
Where's AJ?
I don't know. He got he says, what's a direct quote from this jabroni? He says, guys, I'm still here. I'm out for tonight. Say hi to everyone. Amd. He tried to write and, but he wrote amd. I will listen in ... I got capital hurricaned. Ha 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 ha. The laughing emoji. I think he got hurricaned. I'm not really sure what that means. He was stuck somewhere in the rain, and he had to help somebody with some flooding. I think he was helping his sister with some flooding, and he just couldn't make it back in time, I think. I don't know what happened. A little bit of rain. AJ thinks everything kind of... This isn't baseball. We don't get rained out over here. I don't know what everybody's worked up about. We had some sort of tornado warning. I got 2 blaring messages on my phone. I'm like, what is this, an Amber Alert? That was tornado warning. I'm like, tornado warning? I live in Montreal, man. There's no tornado coming here. Get out of here with that tornado warning. I don't believe you. No tornado.
Those messages
you see a tornado? I don't see no tornado.
Those alert messages are so loud also, man. Come on, man. I could, every time there's one, I'm always alone, but I could only imagine, if you're in a crowded place and 100 cell phones go like that, man, that's way too much.
Yeah. That would be very annoying. It was annoying enough, just my phone. But I'm like, tornado warning. I'm just so skeptical of the word tornado happening because I've never seen a tornado. You never seen a tornado in your life. I mean, some people in the world see tornadoes. There are places like, I don't know, Texas, I assume. The only reason I say Texas is because of Kerry Von Erich, the Texas tornado, because that's how foreign the concept of tornadoes is to me. The only thing I know about tornadoes is wrestling. What?
Kansas.
They got tornado. Oh, yeah. Wizard of Oz country. You get tossed up in a tornado, you wind up some dream world. She was dead, right? She was dead the whole time?
I'm not sure.
I mean, she gets flown up in a tornado. What happens at the end of that movie? Does she come back to regular Earth, or is she still in the land of Oz?
You see, I try to look like I was cultured and I brought up this thing, but actually I have no memory of that movie. I know I've seen it before, but I couldn't tell you the story.
I don't know what happens at the end of Wizard of Oz either. I know that there's the wizard, they're in Oz, there's a lion, there's the Tin Man, and the other guy. Is there another guy? Lion, Tin Man, and Scarecrow, right? Should we be watching Wizard of Oz with our children, Fred? We both have young kids. Should we be revisiting that movie?
I think they made an animated version more recent. I'm not sure.
I'd go with the original. I might check that out. It wasn't bad. Some good songs. Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Everybody likes that. Little Judy Garland. Huh? How about that? I know the name of the lady in the movie, Fred. It's pretty good. You impressed?
Good. Yeah. Very impressed.
Did you know her name?
Well, now that you say it, yeah. But if you would have asked me, no, I wouldn't have. But now that you said, I go, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm not debating that.
That's right. Yo, but that's the thing, man. Tornadoes? What are tornadoes? I've never seen a tornado. Did you see any tornadoes?
Look, it was maybe not a tornado, but I've seen some videos online of a buddy of mine in Montreal. He shared, and there was a bunch of glaçons, like a freezing rain, you know, those ice rain, like a storm. Like a hail.
Hail.
I don't know how you say that. Hail, yeah. So, yeah. I saw a friend of mine that posted that in Montreal. He was in a sector that was pretty that had it rough. And here I had like you know my big tree in my backyard, man. I lost 3 big branches fell like this.
Whoa.
Decent sized branches, man. So yeah, it's still it had some power to it, but no, it's not a tornado.
Yeah. Yeah, it was heavy rain here. It was a lot of heavy rain and I guess some wind. It was mostly fine. Mostly fine. AJ is on the chat, and he says, hey, guys, still no power in NDG. So he's got no power where he is, but he's still on the chat. Couldn't he jump on his phone and just do the show video phone style?
No, because he probably has only phone internet, and that sucks.
I don't know. I feel like we should have AJ on the show if he's in the chat. It seems weird for him to be in the chat but not on the show. You know what I mean? He's watching us. He's chatting. But he's not on the show. And it's too bad now that he's watching the show because I was going to say a bunch of terrible things about him, but now he's watching, so I can't. Too bad. AJ, I'm disappointed you're not on the show, man. What happened? Where are you? Little bit of rain. AJ just bails.
We need AJ for this card, man, because this card this weekend is like, fuck, man. AJ's probably the only guy that actually cares.
I sure don't. I don't care at all. I don't know if I'm going to watch it. The only reason I watch it is to possibly put money on it. You know, if I've got some bets down, then I'm more likely to watch to see how my money goes. But even then, not a lot of big names on this. Holly Holm and Mayra Bueno Silva is the main event. And Fred, you were telling me before the show, you're like, this is one of the first main events where I don't know one of the people in it. You've never heard of Mayra Bueno Silva in your life. You know Holly Holm, of course, but the other side is like, who?
I'm like, Bueno Silva? That's a cool name. Actually, I would remember that name if I saw that name. So, yeah, I probably never saw her fight before. I'm not sure, actually.
She's 6-2-1 in the UFC, or no, 5-2-1 in the UFC. Wins over Jillian Robertson.
Real? That many fights?
Yeah, she's been fighting in the UFC since 2018. She's been in the UFC for 5 years, and she's had about 8 fights in the company. She lost to Manon Fiorot in 2021. She's on a 3-fight win streak.
Maybe I've seen her. Maybe I've seen her before.
You must have. Mayra Bueno Silva. I'll tell you, if I saw her walking down the street, I don't think I'd recognize her. If I saw Holly Holm walking down the street, I'd know exactly who she was, you know? Holly Holm is the star of this card. Let me see if I can show you a picture of Mayra Bueno Silva. This is going to be tricky here because I'm going to be operating this on a different level. Hold on. Yes, I did it. That was actually way trickier than you think. All right. This is Mayra Bueno Silva. Do you know her? Do you recognize the face?
Nope.
It's not helping now?
Nope.
This lady. You've never seen this lady fight?
Don't remember.
I don't recall. I have no recollection of this lady.
No recollection. Not pleading the fifth. I'm just saying I have no recollection.
Now, can I go back is the question. I don't know if I can go back now. Can somebody send me back? I want to try and go back to Fred. Hold on. No, I think I can do it. If I go to...
You see, like, you're minimizing this storm that we're getting here in Montreal, but at the same time, it's completely putting you like... it's making you look amateurish right now because you don't have your tech guy.
No, hold on. It's coming back, I think. I think he's back in control, possibly. I want to get out of here. I want to get out of this scene. Can you switch me out? I don't know. Let's see. What do you think, Fred? Who's going to win this fight? Holly Holm or
Holly
Bueno Silva? Why would you say that, Fred? Because you've never heard of this other lady?
Exactly. And Holly's the favorite, man. Gamblers know what they're doing.
Yeah, here we go. Hold on. There we go. I got his back. I figured it out. Yeah. That was a risky move that I just pulled there, Fred. Okay, so Holly Holm is the favorite in this fight coming up Saturday. Let's get right into it. Get it over with so we can get into some meatier stuff here in a minute. Holm minus 175, Silva plus 145, the underdog. Yeah, seems about right to me. I mean, I'm more aware of Bueno Silva than Fred is, but I'm still not super convinced she's got what it takes to beat Holly Holm. Holly's bigger, stronger, faster, older, though, which makes you wonder. Like, maybe. Silva's 31. Holly is like, she's in her 40s now, right? She's 41. I mean, that's not great. She's 3-1 in her last 4 fights, though. Her last fight, a decision win over Yana Santos, pretty sound decision victory. She looked really good in her last fight. I think she beats Bueno Silva.
I mean, Holly is elite. She's always been elite. She's always been among the top fighters of her division. So, yeah, I feel like a 41-year-old Holly is still very capable of winning. And I don't know her opponent, so I'm going to pick Holly by knockout. Let's go. Holly, TKO.
Whoa, Holly by knockout. Let me see the odds on that for you over at bet99.com. If I can find the fight. Do they have the fight? They must have the fight. That's weird.
They have the fight. I'm not sure if they have the odds.
I don't know. I'm looking for Holm Silva, and I'm seeing every fight on this card.
Holm by KO. 466.
Thank you.
Plus 466.
Oh, plus 466. That's pretty good. That's a nice bet there from Fred. Holm by KO. She's got 5 rounds to do it, right? It's a 5-round fight. Holm by decision plus 105. That seems more likely. Like, Holly's not knocking people out anymore, you know? Who's the last person she knocked out? Ronda Rousey? You know what I'm saying? It's been a while. She's, like, mostly decisioning people. She has 8 knockout wins. And the last person she knocked out was Betch Correia in 2017.
All right.
Her last 4 wins are by decision. She knocked out Betch Correia. And before that, she knocked out Ronda Rousey. 2 knockouts in the UFC. Maybe. Yeah, it's not bad. Bueno Silva. She's never been finished. 2 losses to Marina Moroz and Manon Fiorot, both by decision. Manon Fiorot, by the way, is like on a tear. 10-1. Is she getting a title shot anytime soon? Because she seems ready. But there's no champion, right? There's no champion in either of the women's divisions, which we're going to get to here when we talk about Ronda Rousey, because Amanda Nunes retired as double champ. So at 145 and 135, there's no champion. And the UFC, like, when did Nunes retire? It was 289, right? So it was in June?
Wasn't that long ago.
But it was last month. Like, you would think that at some point they would announce plans about, the future of the divisions. 2 divisions, too, right? It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't think, what was it, 145 and 155? That's what she was the champ?
No, there's no 155. 135, 145.
Okay, so I don't think 145 is coming back. Like, I think they'll probably bring back 135. Like, do they have a roster right now for 145? I feel like so exactly. So I don't think that's coming back. 135 should come back. It has some history to it. And I'll tell you what, man. I hope those the people that put out the rumors of Ronda, I hope that's not true. Because
what?
I don't know, man. Ronda coming back with Amanda retired, man. I don't know. That just looks weak, man, to me. Like, Ronda's coming back now because she thinks she has a chance, and she wasn't there for all that time. I'm not too crazy about that.
I mean, maybe it does, but so? You know what's interesting is that the UFC on their rankings, they used to have women's featherweight rankings, but they just had Amanda Nunes just like on top as a champion, and they had nobody in the top 10, right? We've seen that before on the show. And now I'm looking at their rankings. They don't even have a featherweight division listed. So it's like it doesn't even exist anymore. They've got Juliana Pena ranked 1, Raquel Pennington ranked 2, Holly Holm ranked 3, Mayra Bueno Silva ranked 10. So this is a big fight for her. She could jump up in the rankings and possibly fight for the title. You know what I'm saying? Like, who knows? I hope Ronda does come back, though. I want to see Ronda Rousey fight again. Why not? Like, I get it. It looks like, oh, Amanda's gone, so, you know, Ronda's coming back because there's no.
But I mean, Holly Holm,
but, like, they're all tough. I mean, Holly Holm's not gone. There's a lot of tough fights still out there for Ronda. They're all tough as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. I mean, look how much the division has evolved since she left. It's not easy.
No, I agree. Look, if she comes back, I'll be interested. But I mean, Amanda's the real champ of that division for a while. Like, whoever wins that title is gonna have to defend it a couple of times and make her own like a little legacy or something for people to start forgetting Amanda or respecting whoever the next champ is. A little bit like GSP when GSP lost vacated that title, the 170 title. You know, I think Johnny Hendricks won, but he didn't defend very long. And then Robbie Lawler had a nice little sequence, so like he gained a little bit more of respect for being a champion. And over time, you know, the title, the division continued to evolve and had some decent fighters. But yeah, that first couple of years maybe without GSP, where Hendricks was the champ, and it wasn't great, you know.
Yeah, because
that's what the female 135 is looking at right now, I think.
And he had some close fights too after he won the title, and it was kind of like, yeah, are you really the champion? You know, it was kind of close. I think close with Condit, maybe with Lawler too. They had a couple fights there, Hendricks and Lawler back then. I think the best way forward for that 135 division would be to put Juliana Pena in a title fight against somebody. Because at least you look, here's my point. They're 1-1, her and Amanda.
Yeah.
She's a former champion. She's the most recent champion other than Amanda in the division. It's not a bad move to have her there as champion because you could kind of make an argument for, well, she's the number one in the world. You know, you could go there. There's Irene Aldana, who just fought Amanda Nunes, and people are like, it should be Aldana and Pena. I don't think that's a good fight. I don't think that really interests people. I think if you do a fight, Juliana Pena and Ronda Rousey would be like, ooh, blockbuster. It'd be good for Pena, it'd be good for the division if they could get Ronda in there to fight somebody like Juliana Pena. I also saw a rumor where Ronda might go up to 145 and fight for the vacant 145 title, which, yeah, why not? If you could do Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano for the 145 title, there's no division. Who cares? Ronda Rousey versus Miesha Tate for the 145 title. It's not really a title fight. It's not really a division. It's just a reason to put Ronda Rousey in the main event, give her a belt, and say, hey, look, she's a champion again. I mean, you know, it's all fun. It's all business. It's all show. Why not?
Yeah, why not? No, look, I personally think if Ronda decides to come back, it's gonna give a little bit of ammunition to her haters. The people that want to laugh at Ronda, that want to hate on Ronda, they'll be like, yeah, you know, like it's a little weak. And part of me agrees a little bit, so I might be part of those haters. But at the same time, Ronda's a star. She comes back, she'll be the biggest draw of the division. So yeah, I could see her getting a title shot. If you're the UFC and Ronda wants to come back, of course you should be interested in a Ronda fight, man. A Ronda comeback, they're gonna sell that like crazy.
She would be the biggest name in the division by far. and look at the 135 division. If they hope to keep it around, which it seems like they do, they're main eventing a show Saturday night with a 135 fight, right? You got Holm and Silva, 135. Listen to the names in the top 5 of the UFC women's bantamweight division and tell me if they could main event a pay-per-view. Juliana Pena, Raquel Pennington, Holly Holm, Ketlin Vieira, Irene Aldana. That's not main event. That's not selling. That's not money. Holly Holm is fighting. She's one of the bigger names in the division, right? Holly Holm. And why is she one of the bigger names in the division? Because she beat Ronda, right? So Holly Holm, one of the biggest names in the division, she is main eventing a show at the Apex on Saturday where they don't sell tickets because they can't sell tickets. Because if you went to an arena outside of Vegas with this fight card, you wouldn't sell a ticket. You'd have to cancel the event. This card is so weak, no one in their right mind would pay UFC ticket prices for this. And this is one of the biggest names in your division. So again, I say, yes, not only, who cares about what the haters will say about Ronda Rousey? And I get it, and who cares? Because at the end of the day, she will save the division. And everybody at 135 should thank Ronda Rousey for saving the division if she were to decide to come back, because she doesn't need it. She made enough money. She could stay in wrestling. She could do whatever the hell she wants. If she decides to come back and fight in the UFC, they should all thank her, because without Ronda Rousey, the division wouldn't have existed in the first place, and it would cease to exist right now. Like, they wouldn't have a job.
But so we're talking about Amanda Nunes and all that, but let's remember, Ronda lost her last 2 fights. She lost also to Holly Holm, and I'm not sure she'd be that successful still against Holly Holm. If you tell me Holly Holm and Ronda are fighting tomorrow, I'm picking Holly Holm. Holly Holm's been active for many years.
Yeah.
And as far as other people, man, I might pick Juliana over Ronda. I might pick Holly's probably not the only girl that could beat Ronda. So I'm not convinced. Like, Ronda's smart enough to see that. Like, Ronda has enough fighting experience to know that the division right now is much hard. Even though Amanda's not there, the level is much higher, I think, overall than it was when Ronda was the champ.
I mean, you say that Ronda is smart enough to see that, but Ronda still took that head kick knockout from Holly Holm, stepped away for a while, and came back to fight Amanda Nunes. Like, she's willing to go into the fire. I don't know if she thought she was going to win. A lot of people thought she was going to win, but, she didn't. And I think you're right. Holm, Pena, it's not a good look. But how about Miesha Tate? Because the way I see it, if Ronda can't beat Miesha Tate now, then she really shouldn't be fighting. Because Ronda,
then that should be more.
Because Ronda could beat Miesha Tate. You know, like, if there's one thing we know Ronda Rousey can do, that's beat Miesha Tate. She did it, 2, 3 times? Like, how many times did she beat up Miesha Tate? If she can't do that now, then she shouldn't fight. But if she can come back and beat up Miesha Tate again, then it's like, oh, well, maybe Ronda's back. I think that's the fight.
Yeah, look, if they want to do a super fight, I'm all down for it. I don't think that should be a title fight, though. I don't think
for 145. For 145, why not? It's vacant. There's no division. Why not?
But there won't be a division after either. They're not gonna be like make it a BMF.
Super fights. Super fights for Ronda. Just super fights for Ronda at 145. If you're a super fight and you want to fight Ronda, come fight her at 145 and see what's up.
Exactly.
I think
make
that's
it a
good.
Super fight.
But for the belt, because there's no division. It's a super fight title, but it's the 145 women's title. You keep the division going. You have a champion who only fights kind of big names once in a while, and there's no. It's not like a bunch of people are in that division fighting for the spots, because there is no division. They don't exist. They're not on the roster. It's just whoever's at 135 that gets a big enough name, they can move up to 145 and fight Ronda there. I think it's a good idea.
But then,
if they could do it.
Then if
you're willing.
If you're Holly Holm or you're Juliana Pena, you're gonna want to fight at 145 because that's gonna be the bigger payday. Like you're not gonna stay at 135.
Yeah, but it's not up to them whether or not they get the Ronda fight. You know what I mean? Like it's up to the UFC and Ronda. So they could say, hey, I'm going to fight at 145. And it's like, yeah, good for you. What if I win 5 fights at 145? Well, then you have won 5 fights at 145. No title shot. Unless, especially if you win 5 in a row at 145. You're not getting a title shot. We're not trying to expose Ronda Rousey to some dangerous 145 killer, Like if Kayla Harrison wants to come over and fight Ronda, it's like, no, thank you. We're good. Just protect Ronda at 145, keep the star moving, keep the money machine coming in. Why not? Why not? Like, I'd watch Ronda fight. Everybody watch Ronda fight. And, again, we look at this pay-per-view, or not a pay-per-view, TV show on Saturday night, the UFC show, headlined by one of the biggest stars in this division, and no one cares. So, the division needs something. Women's MMA right now is not really that hot. Like, who? Valentina lost, and most people don't even know it. You know what I'm saying? Most people either forgot, don't know, or don't know the name of the person that beat Valentina. They know Valentina, and most people would say she's the 125 champion. But she's not. Fred, do you know who it is?
A Mexican lady.
Nice. Alexa Grasso.
Alexa Grasso. Yeah.
Yes. Alexa Grasso.
I'm trying to think who's the champ at 115.
Zhang Wei Li. No?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And she's not selling pay-per-views.
Yeah.
You
No.
know what I'm saying? Like none of these.
For sure.
Thug Rose sold paper. Like people like Thug Rose. She had like a gimmick. There was something there. Joanna Jędrzejczyk. People got behind Joanna, but even Valentina, people were starting to like Valentina, and she wasn't main eventing, but she could co-headline. Now Zhang Wei Li, that's a tough co-headline. She's not headlining for sure. And Alexa Grasso. Come on, dude. Nobody knows who she is.
I'll tell you who should put pressure on Dana to get Ronda back. It's ESPN, man, because there's a lack of star power, and they're giving a bunch of money to the UFC for all these cards, and might need a little more star power sometimes. Ronda's a pay-per-view. Ronda's a pay-per-view fighter. She wouldn't be on a fight night card, but just overall, she would just bring more attention. Like, imagine if you could sell this fight this weekend and say, "Hey, the winner's getting Ronda."
Yep.
It's a little more appealing to fans and all that. So, anyways, the UFC needs the star power of a Ronda. That I do agree.
Especially for their pay-per-views, because she could headline a UFC pay-per-view on her own. It could be one title fight for that one pay-per-view, but any other women's champion has to be the co-main event of another title fight on pay-per-view. So they have to double up their championships on one show, which kind of limits how many titles that they can do. That's why they have to throw this BMF title in a couple weeks from now, right? They got to make these fake belts so that they can still headline pay-per-views with belts, because they try to do a title fight for every pay-per-view. And I think that's like an ESPN thing. That's what they want. But the women's divisions right now, none of them have stars at the top. None of them. And the biggest star you had just retired and dropped 2 belts at the same time. It's rough. So if you're in the camp that says, well, Ronda should stay home, we don't need Ronda, come on, man. Look again. Look again at who's there, and look who's fighting this weekend. Again, Holly Holm and Mayra Bueno Silva. And if Mayra Bueno Silva beats Holly Holm, the world will not give a shit. It won't make a difference. She won't become a star. It won't be anything. The UFC doesn't do a great job of promoting these fights. If this fight was on last week's pay-per-view instead of headlining this card, it might have got more eyeballs and maybe people would have cared. You know what I'm saying? They don't do a great job of promoting women's MMA. They don't put a lot of these women's fights. Like, you could put Holly Holm on pay-per-view. How many main cards have women's fights on them? You know? And that's where you're going to get most of your eyeballs. That's how you promote the next wave, right? By putting them on a main card. Every UFC pay-per-view has like a weird fight that's on the main card, and it's like, oh, well, they're just trying to promote these guys, trying to make them into bigger stars. Like Dan Hooker and Jalen Turner, or even Bo Nickel and Val Woodburn last week on the pay-per-view. They had not a single women's fight on that pay-per-view. They had a couple on the prelims. I think they had one on the prelims. No, two. No, just one. Denise Gomes and, yeah. But they don't do a super good job of putting those women in featured slots on pay-per-views so that maybe you could sell a pay-per-view with them one day. They might have to look at that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they would have been better suited to put this as a pay-per-view fight rather than a main event of this fight night, but whatever. Jack Della Maddalena is on the co-main event of this show Saturday night, taking on Basil Hafez. Maddalena was supposed to fight last week at the pay-per-view. This Basil Hafez is coming in on short notice. He's probably going to get smashed to pieces. I don't know what the odds are exactly, but I'm assuming that Della Maddalena, who's a highly touted prospect, people are impressed with him.
Minus 650.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Not really worth betting on. I don't know what's worth betting on this card, to be honest.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty confident Holly Holm's going to win, so at minus 180, it's not a bad odd, I think. Like, there's still some value there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with who do I parlay that? I'm not sure. I've been looking. As I said, maybe Norma Dumont, but I'm not convinced on that. I don't know, man. Terrence McKinney's a decent fighter, but I don't know much about his opponent.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's a tough card because it's a lot of people that we've never heard of. You know, it's like, oh, I know Terrence McKinney, but who's this guy he's fighting? What's his name? Nazim Sadikov? Like, he could be a killer. 8-1 from some country whose flag I don't recognize, you know?
Just by name, he's dangerous.
Azerbaijan. All right. Oh, yeah, he's going to win. Are you kidding me? This guy's winning for sure. I'm betting on this guy. Who's this killer? What the hell's this guy's name? Nazim Sadikov? Is he the underdog?
No.
Oh, he's the favorite?
Yeah, minus 148.
Oh, that makes sense. He's going to win for sure. This guy's a killer. He's like smashing everybody. Yeah. He's going to beat McKinney. I'll go with Sadikov and Prado. Francisco Prado. And, yeah, that'll be a parlay. Maybe I'll throw something else in there. I'll throw Della Maddalena in there just for fun. Nah, you know what? Skip it. No Della Maddalena. 20 gets you 65.11 over at bet99.com. Should I show my parlay? Should I show it?
Will you be able to come back after?
Well, that's the big question. You see what I'm saying? Let's see. I think yes, but maybe no. Let's see. Oh, it didn't work. Dang it. That didn't work. That's weird. It worked before, right? What happened, Fred? Maybe that was me. I don't think so. Odd. Things are weird tonight. Tornado, man. Smashing through everything. I mocked the tornado. I doubted the tornado. And now it turns out this tornado is knocking off all our equipment and shit. Let's see. No, I don't think I have it. All right, I'm not showing my parlay. I'm just going to tell you what it is because it doesn't seem to be working. We got stuff not working tonight. I'm going with Nazim Sadikov minus 148 and Francisco Prado over Otman Izatar. I'm not a fan of Izatar. I think he got smashed in his last fight. I think he gets smashed again this fight here. 20 gets you 65-11 over at bet99.com. So again, Team Dave parlay for this Saturday night, Francisco Prado and Nazim Sadikov. We'll post it up on our social media things, and we'll tell you all the stuff. Let me even take a picture of it so I could send it to AJ. And he could put it on the social medias. Fred, what's your parlay?
I'm
Holm?
gonna go with Holly Holm, and I'm gonna go with Dumont. I think she's gonna beat Chelsea Chandler. So an all-female parlay, man. Holly Holm,
There we go.
and then Norma Dumont.
Heavy on women's MMA tonight, right? Like it's been a women's MMA type of show. Like a lot of women's MMA talk, Ronda Rousey talk, women double lady parlay here. There's a Team Fred parlay. It is Holly Holm minus 180, Norma Dumont minus 148. 20 gets you 53-31 over at bet99.com. So it's the Dumont Holm parlay for Fred, and it is the parlay that I forget the names of the guys for Team Dave. Sadikov and Prado. Sadikov. This guy, seriously. Look at his record. He's like beaten everybody by knockout in the first round. His one loss was in his first fight, and he's won like 8 in a row since. And he's just smashing people left and right. Seems like a solid bet. Okay, so big news this week. Francisco Ngannou. I think I'm still thinking of Francisco Prado. Francis Ngannou is going to box Tyson Fury in a boxing match on October 28th in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So he's got the Tyson Fury fight. The reason he left the UFC, the whole thing, he got it. It's amazing.
Good for him, man.
It's incredible.
I'm happy.
I can't believe it. I mean, he got Tyson Fury to agree to the fight. He got his attention, and he got the big money fight. Everybody laughing at Francis Ngannou, saying, he didn't get the big money fight. He left the UFC for what? Like, he left the UFC for his own reasons, and he didn't feel like the UFC was meeting his number. He felt he was more valuable elsewhere. When he signed with the PFL, a lot of us thought, I thought, like, man, I don't know. You leave the UFC to sign with the PFL. How much money could they really be spending on you? And I know it wasn't just about that. Like, you got some power in the PFL as well, and there's some control there and investment in PFL Africa. And that's, a lot of stuff that he's getting that are more important to him than just the money. But also, it's like, well, what about the money, man? And he was able to get the money with that big Tyson Fury fight, which, we heard him talk about. We thought, is Tyson Fury actually going to accept this? Is this real? Because there are, legit boxers. That guy Usyk, right? People want to see Tyson Fury fight him, but the negotiations fell apart. And here comes Francis Ngannou stepping in, and it's official. They're fighting October 28th. I think it's fantastic for Francis. It really is a great example for MMA fighters, like, fight for what you believe in, and you just might get it. And he got it. I'm happy for him. I thought that it was maybe like out of the realm of possibility. I didn't think Tyson Fury would agree to this fight for a variety of reasons, but he did. And I hope that they make a ton of money. I hope Francis makes millions and millions. I hope he makes $100 million or more. I hope he makes $1 trillion on this fight. I mean, he won't, but, I hope he's super rich and can retire and never fight again after this fight. And you would think that that's a possibility. I don't know if this is going to be as big as Conor Mayweather, but I think it's going to be pretty big. And I would love to see Francis win. I don't think he will, because Tyson Fury is the best heavyweight boxer on the planet and probably will beat Francis Ngannou. But I'll tell you this. I think Tyson Fury is a better matchup for Francis Ngannou than John Jones is. So, how about that?
I'm not sure about that. I
Why
think
not?
Tyson Fury's gonna win
Yeah.
because I think it's gonna be pretty easy for Tyson Fury. And I agree with everything you said, except one thing. Like you said, you weren't sure if Tyson Fury would accept it, and yeah, a lot of people weren't sure about that. But when I think about it, it makes sense for Tyson Fury also, man. If you're gonna box somebody for a shitload of money, because I hope both of these guys are making at least 25, 30, even 50 million for this. So like I hope they're making both at least 20, 25 million. So yeah, if you're Tyson Fury, this should be like risk reward, probably the best like ratio that you could get, because that Usyk fight, Usyk's a real boxer, man. That as far as a boxing fight, I think Usyk is much more dangerous than Ngannou. So if you're Tyson Fury, you probably picked somebody that shouldn't be too dangerous. If you think of the experience and the rules of this fight, it's a boxing fight, so it makes sense for Tyson Fury. Makes a lot of sense for Ngannou. This is going to give him more money than any fight PFL could have mustered for him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy for Francis. Good for him. And if by miracle he knocks out Tyson Fury, well, even better. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Right, but I mean, as far as puncher's chances go, he's got a hell of a punch. You know? You never know. You never know. It's unlikely, right? But man, Francis hits like a truck, and Tyson Fury's taken a lot of abuse. It's possible that, Francis is the one that puts him down. I don't think Francis hits harder than Deontay Wilder. I don't think he does. But it might be close. You know what I mean? It might be close. He hits pretty hard. So I would like to see Francis Ngannou win that fight. I think it would be terrific. I have my doubts. I wouldn't bet on it, but it would be really fun to see. And I'm very happy that Francis got that big fight. It's great for MMA. It's really great for MMA. It's great for MMA fighters. So good for Francis. I just didn't think it would happen because, like, when Floyd fought Conor, Floyd was kind of at the end. You know? I don't think Tyson Fury's at the end. Like, I think he's in the prime of his career. I was surprised that, right when you're in the mix and fighting the best heavyweights on the planet, you take a sidestep and fight this UFC champion. It was like, it's not been done before. So I was a little bit surprised that Fury accepted it. But you're right. I mean, as far as the risk and reward. But I don't know if this will be a giant pay-per-view moneymaker. I don't know.
I think it will. I think Tyson Fury's a big star. He sells a lot by himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with the whole like former UFC champion, never lost his UFC title, they'll figure a way to sell that. And I would expect all the big media to be behind this fight. Like, for example, ESPN has a contract with the UFC, but I still think they're going to be covering this fight and giving it a lot of attention. So, no, I think it will be a successful money wise.
ESPN also has a contract with PFL, so
double reason to promote it then.
Yeah, I think it'll make money. I just like when Conor fought Floyd, it was like, what would happen if a UFC puncher fought a great boxer? And now we've seen it so many times. Like, we're about to see Jake Paul and Nate Diaz box in early August, right? Like, we've seen so many of these boxer versus UFC fights. We saw Vitor Belfort knock out Evander Holyfield. You know what I mean? Like, a bunch of weird stuff has happened. And it's like, it feels a little played out at this point. I don't know if the interest is going to be as high. Like, I get it. It's Tyson Fury. It's Francis Ngannou. We'll watch it for sure. But as far as, like, the general public, like, I don't know. I don't think it'll be as big as Floyd and Conor. I think it'll be big, but maybe not as big as that.
Of course, it won't be as big as Floyd and Conor. But I think it's about, like you say, it's about the star appeal. And I think Tyson Fury has a good star appeal, and so does Ngannou. Like, Ngannou's the second, like, he's the B guy in this matchup, but he brings something compelling to the story. So I believe it'll be successful.
Well, I hope so for Francis Ngannou's sake. And in Saudi Arabia, does that mean it's going to be on in the afternoon? Like a 5 p.m. boxing match or something, right?
Even better.
Yeah. But I feel like that's marketed towards Europe more than it is for North America. Doing it in Saudi Arabia, doing it in the afternoon, you know? Because Fury's from England, right? It's probably going to sell big over there, maybe bigger than it does over here. I don't know. All right. And Conor McGregor's team loses again on The Ultimate Fighter this week. His team went 0-7, and he asked Dana what happens if his team goes 0-8. What happens if we lose them all? Well, then sometimes, because there's more fights to happen, right? Like there's other fights, so they're in the semifinals, so there have to be semifinal fights. So the guys can't be training together when they're fighting each other. So some guys from Team Michael Chandler would have to go over to Team McGregor. And wouldn't it be hilarious if the guys that went from Chandler to McGregor also lost their semifinal fights? Like he was just a curse. The Irish curse. Conor McGregor. Wow.
I haven't watched a single second of any episode, but I did see some highlights on YouTube and all that. And every time Conor looks like super depressed of one of his fighter losing, puts a smile on my face. And I'm like, this guy's not taking this seriously, man. If he has no fighter that make it to the semifinals, I wouldn't be surprised we only see him for like a 5-second segment, and we don't. But they want Conor. They want Conor on this episode on The Ultimate Fighter because he's the guy that's going to bring eyeballs. But man, Conor, man, you're awful, man. That's all I could say.
Yeah, it's just sad.
Your career is behind.
Yeah, I think it's done. I think he might grapple GSP at that event in December.
Why? He'll get killed.
I mean, he's got a crazy ego, and it might be a good way to get himself back in competition on a high-profile match. Like
he'll get destroyed.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I wonder who GSP is going to wind up. He wants to grapple somebody from the UFC, eh? Like a ex-UFC or current UFC guy. Like he doesn't want to go and face like a Nicky Rod or something. You know, he wants to fight. He wants to grapple an ex-MMA guy or a current MMA guy. And the names, I saw a video that the UFC put out, and there were a bunch of names like Anderson Silva, Nick Diaz, Nate Diaz, Khabib, but also guys like Gilbert Burns, Khamzat, like different guys like that. I don't know, a lot of fun options. I'd love to see Anderson Silva and GSP in a grappling match. That'd be cool. GSP and Nick Diaz in a grappling match would be cool, but I feel like punches would be thrown. I think it would just devolve into a crazy brawl, and it would be nuts. But I also would like to see that. I don't mind seeing that. There's nothing that jiu-jitsu guys like more than when there's like a real fight in a jiu-jitsu fight. You know what I mean? Like people we love it. We like to see like, oh, you see he pushed the guy and he's like really mad, It's fun. So yeah. Who do you want to see him grapple? Other than Khabib and stuff?
Silva. Anderson Silva would make a lot of sense. Khabib would make a lot of sense. Nick Diaz. I'll even throw in Carlos Condit. Somebody interesting. Matt Serra.
Yeah.
GSP versus Matt Serra. I'm not sure how in shape Serra is, though, right now. But
he rolls. I heard him on Joe Rogan. He's like still rolling and still, going. Him and Serra would be fun. Where's Johnny Hendricks? Settle the
There's
score.
a lot of matchups that could be interesting for GSP.
I saw Damian Maia's name thrown in there. I was like, ooh. I don't know if he wants that. Also. That's tricky. That's a tricky one. I don't know. How about Chael?
Well, I'd love to see it also, but Chael, I remember hearing an interview where he said he trained with GSP, and he's like, GSP, you guys don't understand how strong GSP is. And this is Chael, who's a legit wrestler and all that.
Yeah.
And he seemed to, the way he described their training session, it felt like GSP got the better of that training session.
Yeah.
And those were the words of Chael.
Not surprised. But it's got to be like a legend, a UFC legend or a current star in the UFC. GSP and Khamzat would be kind of fun. I think it'd be tough for George, though. Like Hamzat is a beast, but, I don't know. I think George might have better jiu-jitsu. And George is a freak athlete, man. I'm looking forward to that. I think that's the thing I'm looking forward to the most on the fight calendar. For the rest of the year, a Jones and Stipe I'm pretty hyped for. But George's grappling match, I think I'm more hyped for. But I'm wondering and anticipating who the opponent's going to be, because that's going to be really cool. If they got to get somebody good. There's a lot of pressure to get somebody that the fans will be happy with. Jones and Stipe, though, that's the fight of the year, right? Is there any other big fight that you're looking forward to? Gaethje and Poirier at the end of the month is going to be cool.
I mean, that fight card is pretty interesting. That's the one that has Blachowicz and Pereira also, I think, on the same fight card. So
yeah, 291.
That fight card is pretty good. But yeah, the Stipe and John Jones definitely is the fight, and it's great, man. I don't know, man. It feels like it's been a long time since John Jones has had 2 fights in 1 year. So it's great to see John Jones twice this year.
Yeah,
and I hope that's not his last fight. Like, I know there's no other big compelling matchups right now for him in the UFC other than Stipe. But man, it'd be a shame that John Jones retires, man. Greatest ever, John Jesus Jones, #1 all time.
I'll tell you what. There's one fight coming from this weekend that I'm pretty hyped to see, is that Adesanya-Dricus fight. That is like, ooh, I'm interested in that now. The heat between these two. Adesanya's going hard on him on Twitter all week, just nonstop. Adesanya's big mad. Dricus is like, oh shit. I think Dricus, because Dricus was talking pretty hard and mean about Adesanya before the fight, before he got the fight, and now he's like, I don't know why he's so mad. I don't know what... I didn't say any of this stuff. And it's like, dude, you woke up the monster. This is what you get. I think he's a little bit tense about what he's awakened here with Israel Adesanya. And I think he's a little bit worried about maybe the public backlash to his words, because now he's on the big stage, and people are really paying attention. But also, maybe he's a little bit worried about, did I really piss off Adesanya here? Like, what's going to happen? Because it's weird. And September 10th, they're going to go to Australia, UFC 293. It might be Dricus Israel September 10th, which is not that far away. It's like 2 months.
I hope it is, man. That would be great. And no, for sure. That's a fight I want to see right now. And Dricus, man, look, man, didn't Adesanya both wins against Robert Whittaker? They were by decision?
No, first one he knocked him out too. He knocked him out.
He knocked him out. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was gonna say, like, Dricus, finishing Whittaker, man, that's very impressive. Not a lot of people have done that.
Him and Izzy. That's it. Yeah.
So I'm definitely hyped for that fight. And look, man, the promotion is gonna be probably like when Dricus won and Izzy started yelling and all that. I said to myself, like, is the fight world ready for this? Is this gonna turn into something very ugly? Because I mean, like, fight fans, they can be ugly sometimes.
Yeah,
what
man.
They do, but at the same time, as far as a sports fight, man, as a MMA fight, this is an incredible fight. And Dricus, man, he started off a little shaky, I felt, against Whittaker, but once he got like his confidence, he started looking very good. He's big, he's strong, like he's bigger than Izzy. I feel maybe Izzy's a little taller, but Dricus is definitely thicker. So this is a very interesting matchup. I've been big on Izzy for a long time. I'm loving the whole like Dricus story, so I'm hyped for it. I'm not picking anybody right now. I'll still sit on it.
Yeah. Adesanya's been on a good run, man. Those Pereira fights were really good, really compelling fights. Like as far as hype and fan interest, he's been on a good run. And now this Dricus thing with the bad blood. Adesanya is one of the most exciting fighters to watch in the UFC right now. Adesanya, John Jones, they've got some big fights coming up. Who's the light heavyweight champion? Oh, Jamal Hill. Who's he fighting?
I'm not sure.
Anybody? You know what I'm saying? I want to see him fight Yuri, but Yuri's been out for like a long-ass time, right? He's all beat up. What happened to Magomed? They gave up on Magomed, eh? He had that draw with Jan Blachowicz, and I don't think he's been seen since. Wasn't he, like, pissed off with the UFC? He was a prospect, man. I thought he was going to be champion. What happened? He should have been champion. That fight, right? He got totally screwed out of the belt, Magomed, because he beat Jan Blachowicz, really. He should have won a decision. He won. It was a draw, and then Dana White was all mad because he didn't like how they fought. And then he's like, the vacant light heavyweight title is going to be decided by Glover and Jamal Hill next month instead. Neither of these guys are champion material. And it's like, what? And then we haven't seen Magomed since. It's been months. Jan Blachowicz is fighting next month against Pereira. Where's Magomed? Did he just quit MMA because he's pissed at judging? What the hell, man?
Not sure, but he should definitely be in the title picture. But yeah, you're right. He's kind of disappeared since his last fight. Dana's emotionally a very small person, man. Like when Dana gets like emotional, man, he takes emotional decisions, and I'm sure Dana himself is, if he looks back at it right now, probably says to himself like, "Yeah, I gotta get that Magomed back in the picture."
I mean, he's one of the top guys in your light heavyweight division. He's 18-1-1 as a pro, okay? He's 31 years old from Dagestan. He's a giant Khabib waiting to explode on the division. He has one kind of tough fight that ends in a split draw with Jan Blachowicz, and you just discount him? That was December of last year, man. We haven't seen him since December. Haven't heard a word from him since December. This guy fucked off back to Dagestan and was like, I quit MMA. Fuck this. Like, what? Come on, man. And then, meanwhile, Yuri Prohaska, who was your other stud at light heavyweight, this guy blew out his shoulder, and he's gone for maybe ever. And you got Jamal Hill, who beat Glover Teixeira, and it's like, he's pretty good and all, but he's got nobody to fight.
Oh, he's good. He's good, man.
No, he's very good. But it's like you're only as good as your dance partner sometimes, especially when you're a young champion who's not really established as a star in the division. You need guys to fight that people will go, oh, shit, I want to see that fight. Jamal Hill won the title in January. He hasn't fought since. He hasn't done shit.
Yeah, he definitely needs to fight, but his win against Glover was impressive.
Yeah.
And let's remember that fight Glover had with Yuri. Like, it was very close. So Glover versus Jamal Hill for the title was very legit, in my opinion, and Jamal Hill won that fight. So I wasn't a believer in Jamal Hill early on, but since that Glover fight, yeah, he's definitely earned my respect, and he's a legit champion. But yeah, UFC need to find him an opponent. That's for sure.
They got nobody. He hasn't fought. That's what I'm saying, man. There's some divisions that are super active, and some divisions seem like they're on pause. Where's Islam? Islam's supposed to fight in Abu Dhabi, I think, this fall, but we don't know who his opponent is. I think Kobe Covington's supposed to fight Leon Edwards. When is that happening for the welterweight belt? Is that official? Because I'm starting to think that they're not going to do that fight. Because there was a lot of heat about it, and they're talking about an Islam Makhachev fight, but Islam's got no opponent, but they're like, yeah, Islam's got an opponent. We just can't say who. I think Islam is going to move up to fight 170 for Leon Edwards' belt in Abu Dhabi. I think they're going to do Edwards and Islam. I think Islam's moving up to fight 170. He's big enough to do it. He's good enough to do it. I think he could beat Leon Edwards. It'd be a sick fight. I want to see that. Like, Islam's got some cool opponents at 155. Like, there are some good challenges for him out there, but nobody's a clear-cut contender. And Leon Edwards, like, put him up against Kobe Covington. I don't know. Kobe hasn't really earned it too much, so I would rather see Leon Edwards defend against Islam Makhachev. Like, if you had to pick Leon against Islam or Leon against Kobe, because the way they're talking about Islam and the way they're talking about Leon, it makes me think that they're going to fight each other.
I'm still gonna go with Leon against Kobe because I also want Islam to stay at 155. I
Mm.
think he's only defended the belt once, and it was against a 145er. Man, you got to be able to find a matchup for him at 155. And Leon, I don't know, man. Leon's one of these guys. It took me time to start believing in him, but that second win against Usman, that made me a believer in Leon. And I feel like Islam's a great fighter. I don't know if he's more dangerous than Usman. Usman has size on him, things like that. So I don't know. I'm not convinced. I'd rather see Islam still dominate at 155. Give me 2, 3 more title fights at 155, and then maybe think about coming up to 170.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree with you, but I think it's just a situation of the moment is going to dictate what fight we get because there's just a lack of opponents for guys. And it just makes sense. And I think they want to do an Islam Makhachev fight in Abu Dhabi, I think in October, possibly. And they need an opponent. It can't be Gaethje and Poirier because it's going to be too short a turnaround from their fight here in a couple weeks, right, on the 29th. I don't think it'll be them. And I don't know who else it would be at 155. Oliveira? You want to do Oliveira again? Like, he looked good in his last fight, but I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's
Yeah,
not
you're
that
right.
many guys.
Yeah, but the winner of Poirier and Gaethje probably will get a title shot, I would think.
But I don't think they'd be ready for October to fight Islam.
Yeah.
And I think
That's a
Islam
quick
would smash
turnaround.
them, too. I think Islam would beat the shit out of them. So give Islam a challenge, man. Let him fight Leon Edwards. I think it might happen. All right, Fred, you're watching racing. You want to tell us about the car racing or anything happening?
Superstar racing experience, man. It's a 6-week season, man. It's all a bunch of superstar. Most of them are retired. A couple of active drivers. It's on Thursday night on ESPN. This is their third season. It's Tony Stewart that organizes it, and it's pretty fun, man. 6 weeks of racing with guys that are part-timers and used to be stars, and it's a good show. Plus, they go to tracks that we're not used to. It's a lot of short tracks, and short track racing is always fun.
Ooh, we got the update. How about that? Short track racing. What does that mean?
Well, tracks that are under a mile usually are known as a short track.
So it's like a circle?
For example, yeah, well, most NASCAR tracks are circles or ovals, actually.
Yeah.
Because, like, if it was a circle, you'll always be like this.
Right.
But it's straight, left.
Yeah.
Straight, left.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's an oval, and yeah, it's mostly short tracks, and it's a bunch of old timers, man. There's Paul Tracy, the Canadian. There's Clint Boyer, the announcer for NASCAR. There's Tony Stewart, the fattest champion of NASCAR ever. I mean, it's good, man.
Sounds great. So that's what Fred is watching tonight, watching some NASCAR, and I'm
Superstar racing experience.
I'm watching nothing because it's still the All-Star break. Yankees are back tomorrow, 8:05 first pitch against the Rockies. See what the second half of the season brings for the Yankees. I don't know. We'll see. If we can get Aaron Judge back in the lineup, everything will be all right. No Aaron Judge, it's going to be as it's been. But Derek Jeter says we should go after Juan Soto, so I think that's a good idea. Get Juan Soto from the Padres. Get him over, and he could probably help the hitting for the Yankees. I'm not sure who we would trade for Juan Soto, but, whatever. Maybe the Martian. Trade the Martian. He's a kid in, like, double A's.
You have a Martian?
Yeah, Jason Dominguez, the Martian. He's like one of the
real
top
name or it's a nickname.
Well, yeah, it's a nickname. They call him the Martian. He's a big time prospect. I think he plays in Double A right now. He's supposed to be, one of the next big stars for the Yankees. Hopefully he comes through. But you never know.
Trade him.
So if you could trade him for Juan Soto, like, yeah. 20 years old.
Trade him.
He's a beast, though. I mean, he could be something real special.
Yeah, but at worst, in 5-6 years, the Yankees will be able to re-sign him.
That's true. You could just buy him back from whoever gets him. But there's talk. There's talk of the Martian, possibly, and some other guys for Soto. Derek Jeter said that the Yankees should do it, and if Jeter says it, then we all believe it because we love Derek Jeter. But I also saw Buster Only said that the Yankees should be the top team going after Shohei Ohtani in the offseason, which would be pretty sweet too. I say get them both because, I mean, what are we dealing with here? It's the New York Yankees. You're supposed to get everybody. That's how the game works. Yankees get all the stars, and then the Yankees win the World Series. Wake up, Hal Steinbrenner. George Steinbrenner would be pissed as hell having not won the World Series in this many years. Ridiculous. So, let's go. All right, Fred. I'll see you tomorrow at Jiu-Jitsu. And I'll see everybody else tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time after WWE SmackDown, which will happen tomorrow. 10 p.m. Eastern Time, Wrestling Uncensored. I think it'll be just me. Johnny North has to go out and do like a wrestling match. He's traveling. You know, he's a pro wrestler, and he's got to travel around on the weekends and do wrestling. And he's actually in travel. He'll be traveling tomorrow night, or maybe tomorrow, and he'll be whatever. He won't be around because he's wrestling Saturday. So I have no Johnny with me tomorrow night. So I'm going to be depending on you to talk to me. Not Fred, but you in the chat and everybody. Because we'll be talking wrestling, pro wrestling, tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the Ringside Report Network. See ya.
Ladies and gentlemen, pro wrestling and MMA fans from around the world, we have a special message just for you. Are you ready to take your love for pro wrestling and mixed martial arts to the next level? If so, then listen closely because we have an offer you won't want to miss. The Ringside Report Network brings you the best of the squared circle and the octagon. We're here today to invite you to become a member of our exclusive community. Our vibrant and passionate community of members is waiting to welcome you with open arms. Connect with like-minded fans, share your opinions, and engage in lively discussions about the latest matches, epic rivalries, and upcoming events. Together, we'll celebrate the adrenaline-fueled world of pro wrestling and MMA. There's nobody on the internet that has as much knowledge and insight on this entertaining world of combat sports as we do. Please consider supporting the Ringside Report Network right now by going to membership.ringsidereport.net. That's membership.ringsidereport.net. Or if you want to join our YouTube channel, go to join.ringsidereport.net. Only members are invited to call into our shows, and we really want to hear from you. Don't wait another second, my friends. This is your opportunity to become a part of something extraordinary. Join the Ringside Report Network Pro Wrestling and MMA channel today and witness the action, drama, and excitement like never before. We can't wait to welcome you to our growing family of wrestling and MMA enthusiasts. Remember, together, we're going to make some noise and celebrate the incredible world of pro wrestling and mixed martial arts. Thanks for joining us today, and we can't wait to speak with you on an upcoming broadcast.